Without struggle, there is no progress. I'm going to train in the monastery. Ooh, inner peace, everything's so great. No. There was a lot more to it. Training every day, waking up at 5 a.m., running mountains, cooling down on my hands and knees, doing headstands on concrete for hours and hours on end. It seems like hell. That brought me joy.
Welcome back to Mulligan Brothers. Today's video, as always, was sponsored by Huel. I'm drinking Huel Black Edition, which has 26 vitamins and minerals, 35 grams of protein and slow release carbs to make sure that I can stay satiated and proteined up whilst I make these documentaries. If you want to find out more about these, go to the link in the description. I'll talk about them a little bit later on in the video.
So Kung Fu and this idea of becoming a Shaolin warrior monk was now the new driving force. I said, let me use this gap year and go to China and just see life from a different perspective. That I need that. I need something. And she agreed. She agreed, and that is how my journey took place. And man, talk about flipping the switch, from Monday being in school with teachers I felt didn't really want to be there, fellow students who were flunking school, bunking, smoking weed, etc. It just didn't seem to be about learning. To the next couple days, boom, in a monastery, training every day, waking up at ridiculous hours like 5 a.m. I'd never woken up at 5 a.m. Waking up at 5 a.m., running mountains, cooling down on my hands and knees, doing headstands on concrete for hours and hours on end. It seems like hell. But I'm sure you can already see that I'm smiling because that brought me joy. That realization of a dream was exactly what I needed, and I do not believe in soft and hard, easy and difficult. That's all perspective, opinion. So it was not hard. For me, it was like heaven on earth. I was living the dream. It was literally every day was a scene out of a Jackie Chan movie. That's what I felt like, if I could put it into words. So yeah, now you're smiling. So exactly, because you can see what I'm talking about. So for me, it was like, yes, this is living. I'm on the train every day, jam-packed peak time, sitting in a classroom, and we're talking about the early 2000s. It was very limited, basic classroom, couple windows, wooden desks and chairs, no creativity, to now living in the mountains. It was just, it was beyond my wildest imagination. It was only something I'd seen in movies and had built in my mind based on the Wheel of Life show. But now it was the real deal. This was it. And that became my life. I said I did great in school. I did. A's and B's. I failed one subject. Which one? French, language. So if anyone asked you, how is this student doing? Would you have any suggestions for him moving on with education? Guarantee you they would say, yeah, language. Yeah, he's not one for language. Boom. 3 months, no less. 3 months, easy peasy. Chinese was just in my system. Basic talking, expressing myself, asking for food. I need some tea, I need this, I need that. What's this, what's happening, the days of the week, etc. Everything just fell into place. After 6 months of living there, I don't even remember having any issues with communication. After like a year, that was it. I was just there living. If you can you speak Chinese? Well, of course I can. I'm here. It wasn't something that I learned. It was something that I picked up from being there, which again, with my methods of now teaching, both as a teacher who helps the community, a teacher who works with my son, a teacher who works with other people, friends and family members, those are my methods. Experience, if possible, because it's not always accessible. Experience is the way to go. You cannot learn from a book how to speak Chinese. It's not going to happen. Just like children, we all speak, but we don't start with the book, right? We start just with our families, mingling, talking to each other, community, fun times, bad times, celebrations, meeting people. And that, for me, hands-on learning is what I needed. Perhaps I'm wrong there and I don't want to take the statement. You can learn from a book, but if you have the option to learn firsthand, I would always select that method of learning. So language just fell right into place.
Do you remember the first thing the first phrases that you learned? Because that's quite telling for somebody.
Okay, so we're gonna have to hit pause for a moment and bring it back just a little bit, just ever so slightly, because these are some important details and the story goes deeper backwards. But let's start from my first phrase. So planning to go to China back then, and for any of the younger viewers out there, some history lessons for you. How on earth would we expect to travel? Well, we go to, man, it's been so long, I've forgotten the name of the store itself. Big bookstore in central London. Oh, geez. Any bookstore names you got?
Waterstones, W.H. Smith.
No, bigger than W.H. Smith. Like the whole store is for books. What was it called? Anyways, the name of the store is not important, but you would go to the bookstore and you would buy yourself, and this, I remember the brand, the Lonely Planet books. So the Lonely Planet books were like books that you could buy, information, geography, and language. So I got the little handbook on Mandarin, of course, because I'm going to go to China. The first thing my mom was worried about is communication. All right, boom, you get the handbook. That's how you learn. So I got my handbook and I'm learning, very challenging. Ni hao ma, and then ma. There's different tone marks. And, obviously from what I've said, I don't learn great from books, but I had the book, and ni hao ma, which translates to how are you, or hello, how are you? It was the first phrase. Came in very handy. So I had this book in London, and we can, if you have questions about this, we can go deeper, because these are the interesting parts of my story, which maybe some people don't know, and it might be interesting both because it's interesting as a story, but perhaps it can also help inspire and motivate people as well. So at the time of getting ready to go to China, I was considered a minor, under 18 years old. So you cannot just get a typical tourist visa to enter into another country. So that whole process was a little bit complicated. With that, I needed an invitation letter. I needed an invitation letter from where I was going to invite me to come so I could apply for a visa. Of course, by this point in the story, and we skipped out a chunk, but we can come back to that, I was studying with a master, a Kung Fu master, a Shaolin monk. And we'll learn about why I'm smiling maybe later on. But his name is Shi Henglong, a Shaolin monk from the Shaolin Monastery, supposedly. And he was my teacher. Spoke broken English. English was not bad, but broken English. And we needed his support, of course, because he's from the Shaolin Monastery. He will be the person to get me this letter. Why would it be such a challenge? He is a Shaolin master monk from the temple. He couldn't get the letter. It was just, time after time, and I would call him, Shifu, I need a letter. And he started to play on it. You my English are not good. English not good. We would go to his house, ask for the letter. My mom would give, all our details. Back then, there's no emails and things like that. Very tricky process. And man, this guy was just flaky. No letter coming through. And my mom is a very cool lady, very sweet. Perhaps you'll meet her in the future. She's a very interesting character with lots to tell. And she was like, oh, sweetie, I think we're going to have to call it off. We need to try and refund the flight. Maybe you can go another time. And I was like, oh no, hell no, like no way. Like the first hurdle before, like you go into China, there's this hurdle of I can't get a visa. This is ridiculous. And I didn't understand too much about the process of applying for a visa. I remember thinking, visa, what, like visa card? Like I didn't even know what this word meant, what it represented. To be honest, I still don't really know what these silly paperworks that we get in our passport are all about, because it's just tedious, but you need a visa. And she's talking about canceling my flight. And I said, no. I said, this can't be it. This can't be the fate that I've been handed. So I said, look, let me give it one more shot. And this is a true story. I've told it many times. So wherever you've heard it before, it's the same story. I jumped on my bike with my Lonely Planet book. And I said I grew up in Cheshunt. Again, is the area, it's a lie. It's a place called Turnford. After Cheshunt, it goes Turnford, just 5 minutes from this temple. That's where we lived. And then the next little area is called Wormley. And it's still there. There was a Chinese restaurant but this is daytime. There's a Chinese takeaway. So I've rode my bike more so down the street. It's only about a mile and a half. So it's about a 10-minute cycle. And I'm racing there, boom. Get there and I got my Lonely Planet book, Ni hao ma. So the letterbox is on the ground there. I'm on my knees, ni hao, just hoping for someone to come down. This tired looking dude comes down. Of course, the restaurants are open till late. They sleep during the day. He's come down, like yawning and whatnot, opens the door and I'm like, I need your help. And he's just looking at me like, what? We close. Yeah, we close. I'm like, no. Me, go China. Yeah, you help me. Letter, I need letter. And he's like, imagine someone rolling up on you and you're just thinking, what? So I could see he had no idea what I was talking about. I'm explaining everything to him. I've written it down. I've given him the contact telephone number, etc. All of this stuff that we need. My stepdad, and I lived in Turnford. My stepdad worked as a maintenance man in the local college. Yeah, Hertford Regional College is still there. And he knew the security. And that man, I don't know about you, who has a fax machine at home, bro? No one has a fax machine. So that's the only way you can get this sort of stuff. So I gave him the fax number of the Hertford Regional College. He took it, and at this point in time, I don't remember the specific times, but China's 8 hours ahead. He said something like, my friend's sleeping later. So I was like, okay, cool. So I left it with him. And then, throughout the day, that's all that's on my mind. 6 p.m., 7, 8, 9 p.m., I start calling the restaurant. Did you call? This is the little boy. Did you call? Did you call China? And you want rice? And now it's someone, they're just trying to take food orders. I'm thinking, geez, this ain't going too well. Calling. I remember it got to 12:30. They keep answering, but no one's really responding to me. They're just hanging up. They just want to do their business, which is rightfully so. Gets to about 1 a.m. Boom, no answer. Nothing, it's gone. Again, I wanted to ride there. It's late at night. My parents not going to let me go out at that time at night. She said, it's okay, sweetie, we'll see what happens in the morning. Tomorrow's another day. That's how my mom is. And I was like, geez, laid there, finally must have drifted off, woke up in the morning, woke up my stepdad, say, boom, come on, let's go to the college. It must have been about 6:37. Obviously the college doesn't open like schools until 8:39, but he knew the security guard, got the security guard to open up the reception area, and boom, 6 letters, 3 in Chinese, 3 in English on the fax machine. Bam, straight to the visa application center, paid for the next same day service, got my visa, literally 2 days later, boom, flew to Shanghai. So that was my first phrase, yeah, Ni hao ma, from the Lonely Planet book. And it was with that I used that to get myself my visa to actually get to China. So without struggle, there is no progress. So quite often people will say, luck to me is the last dying wish of those who want to believe it can happen by accident. And that's what people will say, oh, you're lucky, you got to go to China. It's not like that for all of us. Well, it wasn't so easy for me. I could have given up in that moment. It could have not worked out, but I did everything I could within my power to make sure that I was able to fulfill my dream, and it wasn't easy, it wasn't hard, but there was definitely struggle. And that's why I love that phrase, that without struggle there is no progress. So you have to remember, it is not going to be so simple. And if it was, everyone would be doing it, which is, I mentioned to you, which now, 20 odd years later, it's a lot easier to get out to China, which is why there's so many people on Instagram doing it. Does it mean they're like me? To some extent. Do they have the same experience to me? No. So there's differences there, like Dr. Dre, what's the difference? Yeah, there's a lot of difference between my story and other people's story, purely just to do with the time, being from the early 2000s, a lot has changed, a lot has changed. But yeah, I found myself in China, and that was it. That was one of my first phrases, Ni hao ma.
If you lead a busy life like me and millions of other people around the world, you might be struggling to get your nutrition in. That's where this stuff comes in, absolutely clutch. If health was easy, everyone would be doing it. But Huel make it that easy. You scoop, you shake, and you go, and you get 26 vitamins and minerals. And every single ingredient inside this and all of Huel's other products has been expertly tested by their team to make sure you're getting exactly what you need. And if I'm really in a pinch for time, I'll grab their ready to drink, which has 35 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and tastes delicious. Don't just take my word for it though. People like Idris Elba, Diver CEO Stephen Bartlett, and hardest geezer who ran the entire length of Africa use this as part of their daily routine. So if you want to find out more, go to the link down below. You can get exclusive offers, like if you sign up to their subscription service, you get 10% off all future orders. And if it's your first time ordering, you get a free shaker and t-shirt. It's also now available in major retailers in the UK and the US. What are you waiting for? Go get it.
Second phrase. So this one again, I like storytell and I like having the opportunity to share some of the more interesting things outside of being a Shaolin warrior or whatever anyone's going to label me. So the second phrase, let's go with Shizao. Shizao is shower. So, and this is quite an interesting area for me, you know, maybe not for everyone, but for me as a young kid from London moving to rural China. Notice the magic of the story, waking up at 5 a.m., running mountains, you know, this would go on all the way until sunset. So you're talking about 8-10 hours a day. Most I'd ever physically trained in my life. Not because I couldn't have trained that, not because I couldn't have physically been able to do that. I just never had that time. When did you have time just to play out all day? You know, you just couldn't. It just wasn't accessible. So we would train all day. We had limited water and there was no showers. So, man, the way I grew up anyways, I would be made to shower daily. So from showering daily to suddenly not having access to showers, but training for 8 to 10 hours. And again, you might be here and it might be hard for you to imagine. We weren't training on mats with shelter and a nice clean studio space. We were training on concrete, dirt, mountains. We were filthy. And we were living in rooms, about 30 people per room, little bunk bed, which was about maybe 60 centimeters worth of a plank of wood with your covers, your duvet and your pillow. Under the front of the bed, you'd have a bucket with a plastic mug for brushing your teeth and drinking water. The bucket you would use to wash your clothes and wash your feet. No showers. I say I picked up the language quick, 3 months. So yeah, in the first few weeks, I couldn't speak. So Shizao was something I was asking for. You know, Shizao, because I was getting dirty, smelly, and I needed to freshen up. You know, the training was intense and it was challenging to not have access to that. So a few weeks in, another phrase, but Shizao is the one. A few weeks in, yeah, not a few days, a few weeks in. And another word, 集合, which means register. When you hear that, you hustle, and there's discipline in China. So if you're late for register or something, you're getting beaten, yeah, intensely. So you hear 集合, that you're running to go line up. Boom, everyone's lined up and you don't know what's going on until, you know, the coach starts talking to you and saying what's going on. 集合, we all line up and then boom, Shizao, everyone starts talking. I'm hearing Shizao, yes, shower. Everyone's grabbing their bits and pieces. I'm thinking, cool, finally, you know, shower, Shizao, boom. Just like a training session. So a general training session, you would line up and boom, you would register. 报数1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. You do your little line. 向左转, turn to left, boom, boom, 跑步做, and you start running. You're running circles around a training ground. You're running up a mountain. So everyone's talking about Shizao, and then boom, turn to left, boom, 起步走, march in, and we start walking. I'm thinking, what are we doing? Boom, we march to the city. We get to the city and boom, we go into this big building. We go upstairs and there's the whole class. There must be about 50 of us. We go in and I'm in a room and the room is four 4 beds with 4 people, 3 of my classmates, and everyone just boom, gets butt naked. And growing up in the UK, that was not the thing to do. So I've got my boxers on and I'm kind of sitting on the bed, just like asking questions, and they're giggling. You know, for them, it's shiza, it's time to enjoy themselves, and they're about to shower. And I'm a little bit disturbed and not knowing what's going on. And then they're like, Jola, Jola, which means like, let's go, let's go. We go out the door, so it's almost like a hotel. You go out, and it's just a long corridor, and the far side is a double door. And like, Tola, they're butt naked. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of there, even in my boxes, a little bit embarrassed, if you like. We walk, and then bam, we go through these doors, and just, wow. Bigger than, at least 4 times the size of this room, just a huge shower house with like 100 Chinese dudes, just everyone butt naked. And if you've been to China as a Westerner, you will know that everywhere you go, even nowadays, even in modern Beijing, you guys like, oh, Lao Wei, everyone wants to talk to you, say hello. Sometimes people even want to take photos with you. So you can imagine being in rural China where no one's ever seen a foreigner, to suddenly there's a half naked foreigner just in the shower house. And man, it was one heck of an experience trying to clean myself. Next minute, a dude was pulling me. I was thinking, whoa, I was getting ready to fight, pulled me to a bed, laid me down, start scrubbing me. I was like, this is crazy. My language was limited. Do you know what I mean? It was limited, but he's scrubbing me crazy. Because if I tell my homeboys this, they're like, nah, bro, you can't have no one scrubbing you. So he's rubbing me, and I'm talking about like 3 weeks worth of build-up. Man, I'm laying there on this kind of massage bed being scrubbed, and just flakes of just dirt that I've never seen. So, and I was kind of not enjoying it, but I was like, gee, I needed the clean. I'd never been scrubbed in my life, apart from maybe when I was a baby. Do you know what I mean? You're being scrubbed by your parents. But that personal space, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but growing up in the UK, I had a lot of personal space. You know, I never showered with others. It was always me in the bathroom on my own. So experiencing that was just was crazy. Something that again, like culture shock. I spoke to you a lot about East and West and difference between the two cultures, not just with martial arts perception, but lifestyle. So it's kind of more acceptable, and I've found ways to deal with my embarrassment, and I'm happy to shower like that in China. Doesn't mean that me and you next minute gonna say, hey, there's a spot in London, let's go after this interview and shower together. So like there's 2 different dynamics to the way in which you live in the East and the West in that sense. And yeah, group showers became something of the norm. You know, that's how we would shower, and it was not sexual or anything like that. It was just merely, you know, we're training real hard, it's time to shower, go to the shower house. It was normal. It was a shock for me. It was a culture shock, but for everyone there, my peers, it was just a normal part of life, and I learned to accept it. But yeah, that was the second phrase. Be like the cup, empty your soul. It's just too cheesy. It's too cheesy, but you dress it up nicely, suddenly these cheap philosophical quotes that you can pick up on Instagram with the right presentation look like the most powerful thing on earth. And it's wrong.